Okay, people. So I decided to check out We Have a Ghost, right? A new Netflix original. So this is written and directed by Christopher Landon and based on a short story called Ernest, probably Ernest, actually. Ernest. Gosh. Yes, based on a short story called Ernest by Jeff Man Man Poof. Manar? Manu? Hmm. Something like that anyway. Um the film is produced by doo, 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 Marty Bowen um and Dan Halstead. It is executive produced by Corey Budd, John Fisher, Isaac Klausner, uh, no Nathan Miller, brr, Jeff Manu, and Christopher Landon. Music is handled by Bear McCreary, Mark Spicer on cinematography, Ben Badium edits the piece, Rona Krez is on casting, Jennifer Spence production design, art direction Hunter Brown, Mars Feeney, and Lisa Visconcelios. Lisa Sun, set decoration, costume design. We got Whitney Ann Adams. And our cast. Well, um, Anthony Mackie, Anthony Mackie, right? He plays Frank Presley. His wife, Melanie Presley, is played by Erica Ash. Oldest son, Fulton, is played by Niles Fitch. And their youngest son, Kevin, is played by Jar Diallo Winston. Their neighbor, Joy Yoshino, is played by Isabella Russo. I don't think we ever meet the dad. Yeah, I don't think so. Um, but he's Roy, played by Yoshio Maki. Um, we have got Ernst, Ernest, even, uh, who is played by David Harbour. Then there is Ernest Scheller, played by Tom Bauer, and a younger version of Scheller is played by Sean Boyd. Right? There's Dr. Leslie Monroe, played by Tig Notaro. Deputy Director Arnold Shipley, played by Steve Coulter. Sheriff Brown, played by Scott A. Martin. Judy Romano, played by Jennifer Coleridge. Ramona Scheller, played by Peggy Walton Walker. A younger version of Ramona is played by Sherry Eakin. Barbara Mangold, played by Faith Ford. We got Deputy Sheriff, played by Kyla Porsche. June, played by Joanne Robinson. We got Kamiko Yoshino, Roy's wife, is played by Naiko Okamoto. Yeah, I probably would say that's all the main our main protagonists, really. The gist of the story is this. Seeking a fresh start in Chicago, the Presley family moves into a dusty fixer-upper they soon realize comes with a catch: a ghost in the attic named Ernest. Despite Ernest's attempts at scaring teenage son Kevin, the detached, music obsessed teen soon finds a kindred spirit in this trapped soul from the 70s and commits to helping him. Meanwhile, Kevin's affable yet harsh father, Frank, looks to cash in on Ernest by turning him into a social media sensation. When Frank's video of Ernest goes viral and captures the world's attention, the family lands on the radar of Dr. Leslie Monroe, a washed up paranormal scientist who alerts her old boss, Deputy Director Arnold Shipley of the CIA, restarting a clandestine program aimed at capturing a ghost. As crowds, reporters, and government agents descend upon the Presley home, it's up to Kevin and his sharp-witted fellow outcast neighbor Joy to break Ernest out, uncover the mysteries of his past, and bring him the closure he needs before it's too late. So, yeah, that's it. There's a lot going on, right? We see the house at the beginning, a family are there, then they run out, right? Then we jump forward, I think it's 6 years. Something like that anyway, right? And then the Presleys move in. Now, I don't know, like the idea is okay, right? It's not a bad idea. It's not terrible. I think one big thing that seems problematic with this story is the emotion, right? It's not, there doesn't feel like there's that emotional connection between everyone, you know? Like we see Kevin and Fulton kind of being brothers, you know what I mean? But it's only in a little scene, and then that's kind of it, right? And we're lacking that connection that makes the story really resonate with us, right? We have no clue why this family keeps on moving, right? It's referenced, but that's it. And I think that's a big thing as well. There's certain things that we don't get from the interactions, and they have to be, you know what I mean, basically made mad clear, right? In a conversation, like someone will go, I am sorry, I'm a bad father. Oh, I should do more. And it's just like, you should be able to get that sort of thing, right? Get why these people don't get along from the interactions. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have to be this statement that's said, for you to go, oh, that's why all of this is, you know what I mean? And that's a problem. Like you don't really get any sort of vibe between Frank and Erica. I mean, Frank and Melanie, even the husband and wife, but it just doesn't really, like, just does not feel like a family. It just feels like four people in a space. Like Kevin's into different music, but again, right? It's one of those things where it's just like you can't not have a whole heap of different tastes. Like there's a bit when Frank's like, "Oh, Eric Clapton, no, sorry, Jimi Hendrix, best guitarist," and then Kevin's like, "No, it's not. It's this person," and where you could be like, "Yeah, no, Hendrix is great. I also like this." It's always just like, "Oh no, we need to," you know what I mean? But there's no indication of why, right? Kevin decides to kind of go off in this different direction. you know? And it's like when he meets a ghost, he starts playing the guitar and it's just like, oh, the ghost likes this music too. Is this just like how, like, why would you know that? Like, why that music? Why not other music? It's just these random things that are kind of thrown out there, but with no real kind of story behind it. You know, it's just like, oh, this is a thing. Oh, this is a thing. This is a thing. And you're just like, okay, why? Why is any of this? You know, it's just like, why does Ernest go, oh, I like Kevin? You know what I mean? There's nothing that he does that you can be like, oh yeah, he's helped, like he's done, you know what I mean? There's nothing really there. So it's just all a bit of a random one where it's just like, oh, the ghost now is friends with, you're just like, huh? Right? What, you know, what's happening here? It's just these weird things. It's like you have the Tig Notaro character, which again wouldn't like every character is pretty one-dimensional. There is no depth in anyone here. And so you've got this character, Tig Notaro, who's meant to be this like professor looking, trying to find ghosts and all. And you'd think, okay, if Ernest is here, there would be other ghosts, right? But we have no word on anything else. You know, they supposedly developed these weapons to try. And how would you know any of that would work? Right? There's none of that. There's no we think this might work. We've never, because remember Ghostbusters, and they've got the equipment, and like in theory, we think this might be a thing, but we've not actually tried it yet. Yeah, but in this, it's just like, oh yeah, no, this is a bit, and you're just like, okay, where you get that from? You know, where did that idea come from? No clue, no clue. The whole neighbor thing is just like, oh, I've seen you, you're my neighbor. Oh, let's be best friends now, right? And then obviously, right, you then get a, I think I'm in love with her, like that whole situation, which is just like, okay, we have not really seen any real interaction between the two of you, right? There's no real kind of connective conversations with like, oh my god, you've gone through a similar experience. Oh man, right? Yeah. Oh, we're spending all this time. Oh, it's funny. Oh, actually, yeah. There's none of that, right? But then also, it's that weird thing of because you know they're not young kids, but it's that whole thing of oh, I don't know what that means, and oh, what and you're just like, come on now. You kids have got the internet. Things are completely different. It's not the same, you know? So these interactions are all really weird. And the end, I mean, the whole Ernest situation you can see coming, right? You understand that, okay, we know how that whole backstory goes, right? So that's not a surprise. There's things towards the end which the characters' motivations, which are just like, why would that character do that thing? Right? There's no rhyme or reason to it because their whole thing was this. And now they've suddenly flipped, right? Not through this meaningful conversation or interact or anything. It's just suddenly, actually, this is how I feel. And you just, what? Huh? You know? And like the family bond is just a bit all over the place. I felt, right? I might be wrong, you know? Well, I mean, everyone has different opinions. Everyone likes different things. For me, this just was just, yeah, all over the place. All over. Just wasn't a solid story. The kind of story I like this, you know, evolution in something. This kind of lush background. And there just was none of that. you know, shame. It's a shame. Like it could have been something, I thought, but hey ho. There was a oh god, I cannot remember the friggin' name. It's a Les Dennis film from last year about like a fake sidekick who then starts seeing go right, which feels a similar thing. And I would say if you enjoyed that, you would enjoy this. It would be helpful if I could remember the name of that film, right? I understand that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what I kind of think. It is one of those ones. Or oh man, it's always trying to remember like films and being like, okay, yeah. I think it was very similar to right. I don't know. The school of good and evil, like this big idea but doesn't quite mm, fit together. That's essentially what this is, a bit like Slumberland. And yeah, I would say it's kind of like those films. You were hoping for more, you know, hoping for more, but it's on Netflix, right? So if you enjoy some of those other things, you might like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's there. Check it if you will. We have a ghost.